strike! Cannon spike! Spiral arrow! Cannon drill! Lock on! Gyro drive! Smasher!
Wow, it's so cool. Love that. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome on in to Behind the Voice, and I'm joined by an amazing person, the voice actor of Cammy from Street Fighter games, recently staged Street Fighter 6 as well, and she is Caitlin Glass. Thank you so much for joining me. It means a lot, and I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
That's great. I'm as I said before, I'm a big fan. I played the Street Fighter 5 actually. I didn't play the previous game. I played Street Fighter 5 and I sucked at it big time. I'm very bad. And I was like, I'm definitely not gonna I'm definitely not gonna play online. Probably gonna just stick it offline and take the losses. It's good. It's better that way. Nobody's seeing
Okay.
me. But yeah, I got to know from there because there was a full storyline, and because there's a full like cutscenes and everything, which I really loved. And I really, became a big fan of Cammy there. So it's fun, it's great, and you're Street Fighter 6 now. These games keep on coming. So how has it been for you, like, to be part of Street Fighter as Cammy over all these games?
It has been one of the greatest honors of my voice acting career, honestly. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not exaggerating. When I was younger, I didn't play too many video games. We didn't have a system at home, but I would play at my mom's work, and we did have Street Fighter 2.
Ooh.
It wasn't Super Street Fighter 2, which is when Cammy was first introduced. So the original Street Fighter 2, and I played the heck out of that game. I loved it so much. And then another favorite when I was a little older was the arcade game of X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Ooh.
And in that game, Cammy was often part of my tag team. So it was wild when I was still new in this career. I'd only been voice acting for maybe 3 or 4 years. And to have the opportunity, even just to audition for, it was Street Fighter 4 back then in 2007, was like, that felt like hitting the jackpot. Like, I really felt like, oh man, this is my job. This is my career. Look at these opportunities that I'm having. And it seemed like icing on the cake to actually get the part. And that was in, 2007. We recorded in 2008, and that's when the game came out. And I've been in every one of the new iterations ever since. So each time I hear that, rumors of a new game, there's always that like fear, like, are they going to recast? Do they want to go with someone else? I really, really hope not, because Cammy means so much to me. So it is a great honor. Thank you so much, Capcom, for having me back time after time. Let's keep doing it.
Yes, let's keep doing it. I love your voice in it, and it's so cool. And your voice, your voice is pretty unique. It's pretty cool, and it's lovely to see you, return to the game every single time a new game comes out, and other iterations of game comes out, because Street Fighter always joins in with someone, and so it's just lovely. But like, you've done so many other voice work, and you're so prominent in the anime world. You've done so many games. So I'm just wondering, what is a day in a life of Caitlin Glass?
Okay. So my full-time job is actually voice directing. So 40 hours a week, I am a voice director for Crunchyroll, directing other actors and dubbing anime. But in the morning from home, I get up and I record auditions, voice acting auditions through whatever my agent sends me, audition for this, and I will do that. So the mornings when I usually do that, and then I head to work, and I will direct all day from 10 to 6. And then if I have voice acting to do, that'll be in the evening hours, like voice acting for anime, also at Crunchyroll, but I do that at night. Not every night. And then I come home and try and have a life for a few hours, go to sleep, get up, repeat. And, maybe 1 or 2 weekends a month, I'm headed out of town to a convention to meet fans and talk about the work. And that's a day in the life.
That's beautiful. To be honest, There's so many things that and here's the thing, I always tell this to a few of the voice actors that I talk to, is voice acting is always interesting to me. It's something that I was like, oh, what if I could try it out. And I do know that voice acting requires you to be an actor, and so it's not just like, oh,
Yeah.
let's just voice. That's just not how it works. You have to play the character. So when I tried it out, and I was like, okay, this is great, and then I realized I'm thinking differently. I'm not trying to be what it's supposed to be. So you have done so much. This senior director at Crunchyroll. How has that been like ever since you've been doing this? How is that whole journey like for you?
Like moving from acting into directing, or
Yes.
from but my light just spun around. Woo. It was pretty organic early on. I had just been voice acting for about a year and was looking for ways to do more in the world of anime and do more with my degree in theater, and honestly looking for ways to pay the bills that were at least related to my field of study.
Mhm.
And so I just asked it was Funimation at the time, if they were in need of directors, if I could train or learn how to do that. And they just said yes. And I was like, well, okay. Um,
Okay, I go for
so
it.
yeah, so it was not nearly as busy. Though during those times, we weren't, putting out 30 something shows every 3 months. There were just the handful that we would be working on at the time. So if I wasn't voice acting, I was allowed to come up there and just train on my own. I wasn't paid, but that time invested turned around pretty quickly, and I was helping out other directors, assisting them when they were out of town or sick, and then they asked me to direct my own things. And at the time, it was longer running shows that I started on, like Case Closed. So they handed me a handful of episodes of that to do. Um, and it wasn't until 2007. So I started directing in 2005, but in 2007, I actually got my own show, all my own, to work on. And it was called Suzuka, and it was a sports anime. It's really fun. I still love it. Um, and by the following year, I was doing like Oron High School Host Club and moved on to do whatever they would give me after that. There's some One Piece in there. And through all of that, still voice acting. Somewhere along the line, Cammy happened.
Mhm.
And yeah, I had also traveled to China to record some video games. And it was a fun time in my life, in my early career. Just I would take whatever jobs were coming at me, and I felt very blessed that there were so many. And I really feel I got in on the ground floor of a new thing in anime, that as anime was truly starting to explode
Yeah.
here. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
It is, to be honest.
I'm not complaining, not complaining.
To be honest, it is actually getting bigger, especially where I'm from. We anime. I mean, it was prominent, but now it's like even more. Like a lot of people now, even more getting into it. Especially when some of those things are coming to Netflix too, and a lot of people getting to know there. And then from there,
Mhm.
they get to branch out and see like, oh, we have so many new things, and so they're ready to watch it. And the growth of anime has been insane. And as you mentioned, like it's grown in the States. It is growing all over the world now, and
All
it's
over the world.
insane. There's so many.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
so many. So what do you think about like this evolution of anime, which is just now gone from not only a few like select countries, but now it's like all over the world.
It's phenomenal. So recently, Funimation and Crunchyroll merged, and now we are just Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
And to see how the company has to handle not just dubs in English, but dubs in like 15 or 16 languages, it's crazy. Now we're only dubbing in English in house at Crunchyroll, so we're not
Mhm.
doing other languages at our Dallas studio. But the company on the whole is still in charge of getting all of these things dubbed in Spanish and Portuguese and French and German and Russian and Hindi, and like all kinds of, it's so cool. And subtitled in those languages as well. I just think it's really neat to see how it has grown to be this legit. Like, I remember the issues we used to have with anime piracy and all of the online sites for illegal downloading, and having actual arguments with fans at conventions about how much anime piracy was hurting the industry, and they just couldn't seem to understand the cyclical nature of that. And to think that now we have these wonderful relationships with anime studios who are coming to us so that their content can be legally shared with the world. And like, what a time to be alive if you're an anime fan, you
Yeah.
know?
It is absolutely insane. And to be honest, there's a lot of my friends who are like, oh, you should watch this, and this is great. And this new thing that's came out. I'm like, yeah, I still need to finish this Attack on Titan.
Yeah, there's so much. There's so much. And I think that a lot of people are probably learning if they didn't already know. I mean, maybe they just had casual knowledge that
Yeah.
anime was something that existed, or maybe they only watched the few things that they could, find on cable television, which is totally fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I credit Toonami for the success in America of a lot of anime within my career, like Full Metal Alchemist, for example. Um, and then tons of other shows that have been through there, Titan that you just mentioned, and
Yeah.
now My Hero Academia and all kinds of things. But people are hopefully discovering that anime is not in and of itself a genre, but rather a medium
Yeah.
of storytelling. So if you are cool with animated content and you want to watch sci-fi, anime has that. You want a romantic comedy, anime has that. You want action, we've got that. Horror, we have that too. Yeah, stuff for kids, stuff for adults, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's all of it. It's all of it. So I think that's exciting to see people hopefully begin to respect animation as a medium
Mhm.
and the way that anime tells stories. And there really, really is something for everyone. It's not just cartoons
Yeah.
or just for 13-year-olds or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
like weird think of like way of thinking like, oh, animation is for kids. And like it's not. If you really
Mm-mm.
see what this medium is bringing, what story is it bringing, then you will realize
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is different. This is what this is storytelling. This is different kinds of
Yeah.
storytelling. And me being a
Mhm.
fan of horror, I love horror. So me being a fan of
Oh,
horror, I
okay.
just watched some horror stuff, and I've watched a lot of horror anime. I'm really proud of it. And but it's I really enjoyed
It's
them.
like
It's
Junji Ito and things like
oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
Into the Junji Ito stories. Okay, got it.
I,
Cool.
I enjoyed that much. I actually, to be honest, I've not watched a whole lot of anime, but I'm trying to get into some of them which are
Okay.
like known, and Attack of Titan was one of them that actually was my first anime that I ever watched, and it got me so hooked. And then I this new season came out, and it's been out for so long, and I'm like, I'll watch it. Yes, I'll watch it. It's one day I'll. It's just I'm
One day, one
postponing.
day.
Yes, one day
Right.
I'll get there.
Well, just wait. I think the final season, they keep teasing the
Yeah,
final
the
season of
final
Titan, and then they
season,
extend it. The final season, part 85.
it
But
will end.
I think the actual ending is supposed to be coming. So, just wait for that,
Yeah,
and then you can catch up on everything
yeah, I
that
heard.
you've
Last
missed.
I heard, it's coming. So sometime it
Mhm,
will be there.
mhm. Yeah.
But but, like your voice acting. I've done so much voice acting. You do voice directing. You mentioned like you were doing all these jobs together, and you were having so much fun. Was there ever a time where did you ever had that moment where, oh my god, there's so much to do? Did you ever had that thought like, oh, there's so much to do, or were you like, oh, just there's so much to do, this is great, or was it like ever, oh my, will I be able to handle it? Was there ever a thought like that, or just enjoying everything?
There's there have been many thoughts like that over the years. Um, when we started a show that I really love called Oron High School Host Club in early 2008, that was a big time because it was something that I really wanted to work on. I was hoping that our company would acquire it, and they did. And then I had gone to China to work on a game. And while I was gone is when the company decided, hey, we got to get started on
Oh,
this. And the producer that I worked for was like, you can't start without Caitlin. They were about to give it to someone else to start it. And I would have missed like the first 2 or 3 weeks. I was in China for a long time. And then he's like, he couldn't talk to me because of the time difference and everything. He just told folks at the company, she'll work 12-hour days. Like he just said that, like, she'll do it. And he was right. I did do that, and I wouldn't have wanted anybody else to do it. So when I got back from that trip, it was there was a long period of time, at least a month, where it was 12-hour days to get us caught up on the
Hmm.
time that they allowed us to, like, wait and not get started. 'Cause as soon as I got back, it's not like we started on day 1. We still had to have auditions, we still had to get things written. So, like, that was a time that was extremely stressful, but so very, very rewarding. Like,
Hmm.
once we it's like that first month was like pushing a boulder up a hill, it was so hard, and then it was all downhill from there, but in a good way. We were on a roll, we had momentum. But over the years, there have been other big things that have really challenged the workflow and challenged what we as directors and actors think we can and can't do. Um, in order to combat the issue of piracy, about 7 or 8 years ago at Crunchyroll, we kinda well, Crunchyroll, but then Funimation, pioneered this idea of what we call the simuldub.
Hmm.
So shows that are coming out in Japan are coming out here, legally in the States, within 2 weeks of their airing. So instead of having to wait for the whole show to come out and then the whole show to get dubbed, like, which could sometimes be a year's time,
Yeah.
we were doing it in some cases. Now there are some shows we put them out on the same day in English as Japanese. But when the idea of that first came along, that seemed like insanity, like literal craziness. Like, what are you asking us to do? How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
And it started with one director in one room, and they kind of proved that they could do that. And then it came to all of us. And then we got the hang of it. We're like, okay, all right, it's different, but look, we're doing it. And then later they said, what if you worked on 2 shows at a time? So you're putting out 2 episodes every week. We're like, "Are you nuts? That's just what?" We weren't happy about it. But, we tried it, and I think we've proven that we can do it.
Hmm.
We have assistants helping us, so it's not just a 10 to 6 thing. Some shows it's 10 to 10 with multiple people working on it. But I think it's done a lot to secure anime's place, just in people's homes and in their lives and legally, you know,
Yeah.
because it's happening as soon as they want it. And if they can be patient for just a week or two instead of a month or two or 6 or a year.
Yeah.
Um, but if you had told me 10 years ago that that's what we would be doing, that we would be moving from, in a year's time as a director, you're gonna maybe work on 2 shows, and now instead, every 3 months, I'm working on 2 shows.
Wow.
Every season, we're putting out, like I said, something like 20 to 30 dubs a season. If you told me that 10 years ago, I would have said, No way. Absolutely no way. What are you talking about?" Um, so yeah,
Wow.
it's been a bumpy road, but I'm really proud of everything, that we've accomplished. So
That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean that's great. What you guys have accomplished is insane. And as you said, like,
It is.
yeah, like all these years ago, if that was possible, like you would not be thinking about like, oh, that's probably not happening. But now, like, it's happening.
Yeah,
So, which is
yeah.
insane. Like as I said, like it has gone worldwide. It is now. It's crazy because one of the things that I would say, Suzume, the movie came out, and I was like,
Yes.
yeah, it's great. It's definitely not coming out here. And then it came out here, and I was like, wow, this is
Mhm.
great. The director came here, and I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Makoto Shinkai came. Yeah, crazy.
I was like, what is this? Where am I? So a lot of people were like, where is this? Is this real? Like, am I living a dream? So like that was very crazy. I was like, this is great, and I still couldn't watch it, but like it was great. So I love that where it's going, and it's wonderful. But as I said, like all these years back when you started, voice acting, did you ever have those doubts in your head, like, oh, is this going somewhere? Is this gonna take me
Mm,
somewhere? Or am
mm.
I doing this right? Or this is not working? Like, where did you have all of that and thoughts? Or did you like, okay, I'm gonna take it one project at a time? Or like, what was going at that moment? Because usually when everybody starts out, it's like, oh, nothing's working out. But like, did you have that? Did you have that anything going on in your head, or you still collected in general?
To some degree, I think I had that. The difference for me was that I did not approach voice acting as the thing that would be my career. Being an actor is what was at the top of it. And because of where I lived, which is in Dallas, Fort Worth, where Funimation was, the opportunity presented itself. I also happen to love anime and animation, so it seemed rather serendipitous. But even when I started voice acting, I truly thought that it was just a gig. Like,
Mm.
here's a gig that I'm doing. I got the job, my first job at Funimation. I still had 1 semester of school to go. So I was thinking in my brain of what was happening after college. And you're always thinking, am I going to go to graduate school? For a lot of actors, we consider moving to a different part of the country and doing like theater for a year and building up the resume and then going off to graduate school if that's what you wanted, or
Yeah.
moving to New York or moving to Los Angeles, something like that. So all of those things were still spinning in my head. And it was just like, here's this anime thing that is super fun and cool. And I'm glad that I'm getting to do it, but it still felt like it was gig work, which most actors, musicians, artists understand that's going to be a part of their life.
Yeah.
And then it started to become more steady, even over like that last semester. I got a lead in a show by the summertime. And I went, okay. So it moved from being a gig to being more like a job.
Mm.
And upon the advice of voice actors that I knew, they're like, you, because I was considering a big move elsewhere, and they're like, hey, maybe don't do that. I don't think you realize this cool thing that you have, and that you really have a knack for it. So maybe stick with it. And I'm like, okay. So I did, but just still with in mind, like, I'm biding my time.
Yeah.
This won't last forever, or I'll get tired of this, or it's
Mm.
just going to kind of end up being the same thing. Um, but I guess I kept my options open. I'm like, this could turn into something awesome, or this could fizzle out. Let's just see what happens. And in the meantime, I was, finding a community amongst my fellow actors
Yeah.
and voice actors, and getting to be a part of um, Full Metal Alchemist, I think, is really what made the difference,
Yeah.
because the show was so popular right when it came out, and it got on TV pretty quickly. And with that came anime convention invitations. And so traveling to conventions with your fellow actors and building the camaraderie and the family, really,
Yeah.
um, kind of, that solidified all of it for me. Like, hey, maybe this is it, and that's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
So that means let's explore what else there is to do in the realm of voiceover besides anime
Mhm.
here. And of course, just other acting was also a thing. Like, I could also do other acting. Sure, let's try doing some on camera stuff, and of course still do theater. But once I started directing, that became kind of all I had time for. And I still do theater now and then. I did get married, and we moved and lived in another country for a year and a half. So I kind of put all of this career on hold. And
Wow.
I think that's wild. When I think about that, I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Not the getting married part, but like the moving away
Yeah.
and just leaving my career. But perhaps I was assuming, it all fell into my lap to begin with.
Mm.
So it's probably still going to be there when I get back. And that was absolutely the case. Absolutely true.
Thank God.
So I just picked up right where I left off, and here we are.
Yeah.
So
That's so epic. I just love that. It inspires me, and I hope it inspires a lot of people. Like, but you continue to go with it. You're not like, a lot of people doubt themselves a lot, and I'm one of them. Hi. I doubt, like, you doubt themselves a lot, like, where, okay, whatever you're doing and it's not exactly working out, and you immediately go to a conclusion where, like, oh, it's not working, obviously. Something's wrong. I should quit, or I should stop. And instead of, like, keep on working at it, trying to improve what you did before and all that, and just simple things, and being patient, which is something that I don't have. Haha. But something something to that is that I feel like is something that everybody should have. But your journey, and your whatever you have done over the years is very inspirational. So it inspires me, at least, to keep on pushing and being patient in level 1, at least, so so that I can get somewhere.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. That's wonderful. But you have done voice acting, as I said. So many got to go to conventions, and all of this. But do you remember, like, your first convention that you ever got to be a part of? How was that?
Oh,
How was that like?
I I remember it like it was yesterday, actually. It's at a hotel here in Dallas, so because, like, I drive by that hotel almost every day, so I'm always being reminded, seriously,
Wow.
of my first convention. Yeah, it was in 2004, so the same year that I got started. So I started in January of 2004, and, September of 2004, it was Labor Day weekend, I believe, there was a convention in Dallas, and I was not, a guest at the convention, but I had never been to a convention before, even as a fan.
Wow.
And so, voice actor friends were like, "You should come out. Just come out, find us. We'll get you a badge. We'll get you in." I'm like, "Oh, nice, cool." So I went, and Full Metal Alchemist was coming. Everyone knew that it was going to be on TV, and some of the main cast, but not me, had been announced and were there at the convention. And so I was sitting in a panel with the other attendees while some voice actor friends were on the stage. And someone up there knew that I was in the audience, and they said, "Oh, yeah, and then there's Caitlin Glass. So she's going to be Winry in Full Metal Alchemist." And everyone in the crowd went, and then turned around to see who they were pointing at. And I was like, what
Uh-oh.
did I do? I didn't even know at the time. I don't think I knew what I had just been cast in. Like, I knew it was cool. I'd been reading like New Type magazine and whatever stuff in English I could get my hands on about things coming out. So like I knew it was a big deal, but I didn't know that it was like such a big deal. People were coming up to me after that panel and they wanted my autograph. I'm like, you haven't even heard me. What if I'm terrible? What if I suck? But sure, let me sign that.
Let me
Okay.
see.
Um, yeah, and, then some staff at the convention were like, "Hey, if you just wanna join in on any of this stuff the rest of the weekend, you feel free." So, I didn't want to encroach on anyone, but if, a voice actor friend was like, "Come with me on this panel," then I did. By the end of the weekend, I'd been on panels.
Wow.
The con staff took me around to go, eat with them and do all the stuff with them. I'm like, "This is crazy." And I was meeting people that were already that I was starstruck to meet people like Steve Bloom and Bo Billingsley and Johnny Young Bosch and all in my first weekend at my very first convention. Um
So cool.
it's yeah, really really cool. So that was my first con experience. Yeah.
Man, that is wonderful. It's just a first con and you have all this. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. It's yeah, for here, at least for me, it's so weird. I've never been to a con and it just drives
Oh.
me crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I wanna meet people. But the thing is, like, I'm so much into video games and there's no such con here about that, which drives me
Oh.
insane. And because, like, I want to meet these people that I know and I've heard and all that stuff. But for that, I have to travel to a different part of the world, and it's like, oh gosh, it's like a whole
Yeah.
different thing. So I always wish and that one day, sometime, will be the
Yeah.
time. Even once
One
would be
thing about
great.
conventions, yeah, conventions are always happening.
Yeah,
So if you missed it one year, that same one is going to happen the next year. So you
yeah.
really can plan. If that's what has to happen, you have to travel abroad to go. I think that's so cool. I've never traveled abroad. For me, like I really love Disneyland and Disney stuff, but I haven't traveled abroad yet to go
Oh.
to a Disney park, an international one. So I imagine that that's kind of no, it's not exactly the same as going to a gaming convention in the United States, but the amount of planning that goes into an event like that, it's a lot, but it can be done. It can be
Yeah,
done.
it can be done. Yeah, hopefully one day.
I believe in you. I believe in you.
I
You're gonna make it.
I think I believe.
I think I believe.
But like you talked about like moving out. Did you get to move out some, like, travel and travel across abroad and just, like, kind of like tour around, or like did you get to do that somewhere, or did you have like a favorite place that you got to go to?
Well, I lived in Madrid when my husband and I moved abroad. We moved to Spain, so I lived in Spain for a year and a half, and, while we were there, we hopped around to other nearby places in Europe, but most of the time we were working. We were teaching English and trying to just survive off of our English teaching, money and not use our American funds, and, but we would just go other places around Spain. We had family in Italy. We'd go down there and visit them. Hopped over to France, and that was cool because I'd never been to France before. Went to Germany. So just a lot of the European countries I've made a stop in. Been to England a couple of times. I mentioned that I've been to China. I've been to China a couple of times also. Still, after all this time in anime, haven't been to Japan. I'm so sorry. I'm so busy. It's because when I go, I just want to stay there for like 2
Yeah.
months. There's so much that I want to do. I don't know that Crunchyroll will let me be gone for 2 months. So,
You were what? 2
so
months?
yeah,
Excuse me?
yeah. They're like, what? Like, I'll go work at the office there. We have one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been down to Australia for some conventions, and that's been really special. Um, yeah, I would love to go to any convention in Latin America or even in Mexico or like Puerto Rico. That would be really cool. I know they have conventions there.
Yeah.
Um, it'd be fun, but I didn't know if you meant have I traveled for cons or work or have I just traveled?
Yeah,
Period.
I'm
And I
good
guess
with
the
everything.
answer is yes to both. And I go to Canada. I'm headed to Canada later this year.
Wow.
That'll be awesome. Yeah.
That's great. That's cool. Traveling is something that I recently kind of started a little bit, just a teeny
Good.
tiny bit. So it's just like I'm
Go
all,
see the world. You have to.
yeah, could just go, I'll travel all around the world. Yes.
Yes.
Once sometime, I don't know when, but yeah, that'd be great. But for me, the world of video game is just magnificent, and I play games almost every day. That has reduced, to be honest, but I played games a lot, and it's just fun to play different kinds of games, and whoever gets to, and I love listening to these characters, and they have these different stories that the game provides, and it's just so cool to get to be a part of, listen to it, see it, visualize it. And I'm a big fan of dramatic moments, so I love crying, which sounds weird, but like it's
No,
just
that's great.
I love just dramatic moments. It's so cool because it gets me connected even more to the characters, and I get just to get to experience them even better, and the story even better. But did you get to when you got to be Cammy, and you played that character, and when you got to conventions for Street Fighter, of being part of that, did
Mm.
you remember, like, what was it like at that point? Like, getting all these fans getting to Street Fighter, getting to meet these characters, getting to meet you. What was that like? A video game convention of for Street Fighter.
I I've only have I been to a game convention? I've maybe just been to 1 or 2 conventions that are video game specific.
Hmm.
Most of the time I'm at anime conventions or pop culture conventions where there are also movie stars and TV stars and um, things like that. So it's a little bit of everything, like the Comic Cons
Yeah.
basically. Uh, so I don't think I've even I don't want to say I haven't done. I don't recall us doing a, hey, meet the cast of Street Fighter here at this con on this panel. Um, but a lot of my castmates from the various iterations of the game are voice actors that I've been working with over the years anyway.
Yeah.
So at any given convention, I'm there with someone else who is in Street Fighter. The cast that we started with, I might I think I might be one of the only ones from Street Fighter 4 that's still in it,
Wow.
uh, by Street Fighter 6. Kyle Bear, who plays Ryu, he's still,
Hmm.
in there, which is awesome because he's from here in Dallas, Texas also.
Wow.
Like, we know each other from anime and all of that.
That's so cool.
So he's there and I'm there, and I don't remember. My apologies to the rest of my castmates if you have been in it since 4 and I have forgotten. Um, uh so now, because over the 3 games, there are tons of other characters were introduced, especially in Street Fighter 5. There were so
Hmm.
many characters in
Yeah.
5 by the end of all the DLCs and stuff. Um, God, there are dozens of us. um, yeah, but it's neat now to see like a whole new generation of even younger voice
Hmm.
actors.
Yeah.
People who were in like middle school or something when I started voice acting, and now they're over here playing, DJ and
Wow.
the new Blanca and things. I'm like, what is crazy? This is really cool. People that I have directed in anime, are also my colleagues and counterparts in this game. So I'm really excited for them. And because of the world tour aspect of Street Fighter 6 and like building your own character, there's a whole cabinet full
Hmm.
of player voices that you get to choose to be your own avatar's voice. So all of my actor friends play those guys too. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know until all of the announcements started coming out. Um, because the Capcom will make announcements. I had to wait so long. I'll tell you what, it was so frustrating. So frustrating because there was that very unfortunate leak
Ooh.
of the character designs before they were ready to show them. So because of that, everyone knew like here are what the main, 16 or whatever characters are going to be, but I still was not allowed to confirm that I was back as Cammy until Capcom made their reveal. And they were doing like 2 characters at a
Oh
time,
yeah.
and it was taking all year. And I'm like, oh, I'm dying, Capcom. And then finally, they announced Cammy, and it was like the happiest day. And I'm like, yay, hooray. And everyone's going nuts and talking about her redesign and all
Yeah.
of that. But the rest of the cast aren't usually aren't allowed to say that they are in a thing until it has officially come out. So
Mhm.
on release day on June 2nd, all the social media was just like, I'm so excited to announce I'm
Yeah.
such and such in Street Fighter. I'm so thrilled to say I play blah 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 in Street Fighter. And I'm like, dang, this is just like there's nothing here but us Street Fighters.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. It's very exciting. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
I remember that like a lot of people are posting like being a part of Street Fighter. I was like, wow, oh, Street Fighter game came out, and it's so cool to see. I know one of my friends is like a big, massive fan of Street Fighter. He's been talking so much about like everything that Street Fighter 6 has, and is like really enjoyed it. And he's the guy who loves playing ranked, so he's great at ranked, and
Okay.
so he enjoys that. So and I remember Cammy, the trailer came out for Cammy, and the moments for Cammy, even the trailer in the main trailer, Cammy was it. So I remember like the
Yeah.
redesign, like it's a completely different design, and I loved it. And I also see there's a bunch of people who are very much into Cammy, in ways like with the outfits and everything,
Yes.
and they're like yes,
They
and
like the OG. They're
that
very mad. They want this version.
yeah,
This one.
yeah,
This version
yeah,
is what they
exactly.
want. Um yes, I saw all of that too, and I'm like, why you gotta hate? You haven't even like seen what she can do.
Yeah,
That and it seemed so silly because you know that they're going to release a skin or a costume, or like you will
exactly.
be able to play her in the original costume that you're looking for, you guys.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Calm down,
Calm
just
down.
hold on. Give us a sec.
Yeah.
but, but there's a lot of actually there's also a lot of people who I saw, and just they're thirsting for Cammy, and they're
Yeah.
just really into
Yeah.
it. I'm like, wow. I was like, yeah, the redesign did that even more. So a
I
lot of
think you're right. I think
yeah.
you're right.
And
Yeah,
I've seen some videos about them, like, wow, this is great. I love it.
yeah.
uh so that was something, and you can see like how these characters Cammy and Ryu, like they have like done so much to the Street Fighter community, and they love these characters so much.
Mm.
But like if you've done Cammy since Street Fighter 4, so do you remember any like, or do you have like a favorite line, or a line that you remember the most, or you like the most, or people ask you the most? Do you have something like that that you remember of?
Um, I can always remember just like her first lines in Street Fighter 4 when you're going to start a match, which are target acquired, beginning mission. Like that's what I remember the most, really.
Uh,
Um, because when you're recording anything, you're not taking scripts home and
mm,
studying and memorizing. You only see what you're going to say when you show up at the studio on the day. And then you're only going to record it hopefully once or twice, and that's it. And they get what they need, and you move on. So until I start playing the game, because I haven't started playing 6, uh, I can usually not remember things that I say, with the exception of the attacks, of course. So I know
mm,
that I shout cannon spike and cannon
yeah.
strike and cannon drill and spiral arrow and gyro drive smasher and all of that cool stuff. Um, and with the cool accent and all of that.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. It's so cool. I was like, I wish I could say in that way. Like, I wish I could have that accent. It's just so wonderful. Whenever you say cannon strike, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is what I wanted to hear. Like, I don't know what it is.
I know people ask me. So here's a pro tip to fans out there. If you come up to my table at a convention and you are bringing something Street Fighter or choosing a print for my table that is Street Fighter, I will absolutely do the voice for you, like without asking. I will just start doing it. Um, And I hope I'll do it right now. I hope that no one thinks I'm being pretentious. It's just that's what you came for, and I know that my actual voice doesn't sound like that. So, like, let me do it for you.
Yeah.
And the whole time that they're there, we'll just have conversations with the voice. I'll ask, "Do you play as Cammy or do you get beaten by Cammy? And do you have a favorite move and what is it?" And let me write that on there for you. Um, so yeah, she's been a dream. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. She's amazing, and I love a lot of Street Fighter characters as well. So it's just fun to try playing Street Fighter and getting my ass handed to me. But like it's fun to get all these characters and get to play it. But Street Fighter has been such a popular game over the years. It's still
Right.
going, and there's so many iterations coming on. People still want more. So people want another Street Fighter. But do you ever think like,
Like,
yeah, go ahead. You might want to say
no,
something.
I was gonna say this one just came out.
This one just came out. Yeah, this one just
Calm
came
down.
out. Yeah, this one came out, and people like there'll always be like, even next year, I believe that people like will be like, oh, should be something about Street Fighter. I'm like, didn't that come out last year? But it's just like everybody is like love Street Fighter so much, and nowadays there's a lot of games being tried to convert it into movies as well. So do you think that that is ever possible, that there will be a Street Fighter movie or something?
I think they might try again. There was one when I was
Yeah.
a lot younger. Who's it? It was like Jean-Claude Van Damme was in that.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
true? Am
so.
I imagining that? Did I
I
make
don't.
that up? Maybe it's not him, but I know like Raul Julia was in it. Kylie Minogue played Cammy,
Yeah.
and yeah, I remember seeing it back then, and that it's apparently not apparently, it's not the best
It's
movie.
not, no.
Um, but there's so much really neat storyline and plot to be used and developed. And yeah, since Hollywood can't seem to have many original ideas of their own, it makes sense that they would like, hey, let's take this. But generally, I feel like maybe just The Last of Us on HBO is finally something that
Yeah.
is a cinematic interpretation of a game that has been successful.
Yeah.
I suppose, I mean, you mentioned that you like horror stuff. I really don't, and I don't like being scared, so I'm not into games like Resident Evil. But there's a whole slew of Resident Evil movies. I have no idea if they're any good. So maybe I'm speaking out of turn by saying there isn't another successful video game adaptation to film besides The Last of Us. But doesn't mean there couldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like Resident Evil movies, which were I enjoyed them, and that's all I will say. But like
That's it.
that's it.
Okay.
Like a lot of, and there's they have tried to make Resident Evil again and again. Not again and again. They recently did with Netflix, which also didn't really work out. So like they tried that, but Last of Us, as I mentioned, was like one of those, is the one at the moment right now to really make the movie or the series as per how the game was, and take it from there, and build from that, and not build something on their own, which I know
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat has done so many times, and it keeps on
I
going.
forgot. Like, I just tried to block that out of my mind.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. But like
But
Mortal
hey, don't they have a new game coming out too, don't they?
Yes, they do
Yeah.
have Mortal Kombat 1 coming out, which I'm also very excited for. But the Mortal Kombat also keeps on trying to get into movies and whatnot, and it still sort of works out. And the recent one sort of worked out, and now they're doing the second one again. So it's just cool. So I'm hoping that, okay, if they can see that, okay, things like Mortal Kombat is also doing something. I hope that maybe they could think about, maybe Street Fighter could be something. Maybe they should try once, or see and how it's gonna be, because there's always, obviously, there's like a big fandom of Street Fighter, and so I just want to see if that's something that could be possible. It would be great to see. Would be great to have, I think.
Well, I want a cameo in that movie that comes out. Huh? See what I did there?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love to have that cameo. Yeah, that would be great.
Mhm.
And just say Cannon Strike.
That's right. It'll be me. It'll always be me. The actor
Yes.
can try, but it'll really be my voice doing ADR for them. That would be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah. But switching from that game, I know you also were part of Xenoblade Chronicles, and
Oh yeah.
you played Elma there. So how was that experience like in Xenoblade Chronicles? I know that's a game that, oh my god,
Oh.
people love.
Wow. Yeah, I am consistently surprised at how many people still love Xenoblade X as if it just came out. I feel
My
like I
God.
have more interest in it now than I did when did that I recorded it in 2014, so it probably came out in 2015.
Mhm.
But yeah, people are still coming up every convention. There are a few every con who were like, "I love Elma. I love Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's so cool."
Wow.
Um, that was very fun and unexpected. I did not expect when I auditioned to get cast in that part,
Mhm.
and then it was huge. That game for me was 40 to 50 hours of recording,
Wow.
because it's a very long story. JRPGs typically are, but then the open world style of that game in particular meant having to record all kinds of possible things that you could hear
Yeah.
as you go along. It was so neat. The biggest treat after all of that was to then be contacted by Nintendo when they were making DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2
Yeah.
to be asked to come back as Elma. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Of
And it was
course.
because that game was recorded in the UK. Like the whole rest of the cast, there was nobody from the United States that I know of, or mostly. Let's say I shouldn't again speak out of turn. Things I'm not certain of, but yeah, I was connecting with the studio in London from Dallas to get that stuff recorded for that DLC. So I'm like, this is man, and I keep hoping that they'll figure out how to port the game, how to
Yeah.
port X over to the Switch so that more people can play it. But when fans come up with the game, they're like, it's pretty much the only reason I'm keeping my Wii U so I can still
Yeah.
play this game every once in a while. I saw Twitter campaigns back when they were still adding characters to Super Smash Bros, like the newest Smash Bros. They're like, Elma for Smash Bros
Yeah.
was a hashtag I saw a lot of.
Oh,
I
man.
hoped, but oh
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see that, to be honest. That'd be great. And since Twitter people are when they go into that campaign, they just go into it, and so I hope that that catches attention, and you get
Yeah,
to
come on,
be.
Nintendo.
Come on, what are you doing? Come on, be faster. But like you got to be part of so many games, and you mentioned that you did play a lot of games. But did you what did you get to play at all? Like you mentioned Street Fighter before, but did you get to play anything recently or
Mm,
whatever?
recently, like I mentioned, I haven't picked up, excuse me, the new Street Fighter yet. I was about to get it the other day, and then my husband goes, "No, wait, there are all these versions of it. Don't you want this super deluxe, mega awesome version that comes with two figures and a bath towel and a toaster oven?" And I'm like, I
Oh,
don't know, do I want that? So now we still haven't ordered it, but I know I do want a physical version. So
yeah.
that's why I haven't played. um Otherwise, I am a very casual and chill sort of gamer. I think that's the reason why fighting games are appealing, because you can pick them up and just
Mhm.
play a round or two and then put them back down. It's not that I get bored, it's just that I have so many other things that I wanna do, something I
Yeah.
wanna read or watch or sleep.
Very
Um,
important.
yeah, but I'm one of the many, many people who adore Animal Crossing, and
Yeah.
we couldn't have gotten through the pandemic without it, but I had
Yeah.
played it long before that. So, I put it down, of course, and then I'll pick it up every once in a while. I was actually just playing it today. It's like something to kinda do while you're doing
Yeah.
something else. Um, so that's not embarrassing. Animal Crossing is awesome.
That is great. That is a good game. It's
It
a
is
fun game to play. Yeah.
it's super awesome, and then, I like it's I like watching people play games. I was about to say that's dumb, but, like, what would there be on YouTube if it wasn't for people watching, playthroughs?
Yeah.
So, like, in college, I would sit with my friends while they would play through, oh gosh, like, Kingdom Hearts when it was brand new
Oh,
and, like,
wow.
whatever game they were doing. I was just so amazed that they could do all of that stuff. Like, the first time I tried to play a Final Fantasy, I'm like, "There's just too many things, and I need potions, and I need parties, and I need, like" but I'm out. Um, Pokemon has been in and out of my life throughout the years. Sometimes I'll, pick up the whatever Pokemon game is happening and play that. Like I said, I'm casual, which makes it seem, like I don't like games, and that's not true. And obviously, when I was young, I would play whenever I could, but probably because I didn't have a system of my own,
Yeah.
or even a handheld system of my own until I was fully an adult. I think that's maybe why it's not such a huge part of my life. Playing them isn't, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool that voicing in them is.
Yeah, that's great. Like, you don't get to play a lot, which is fine because especially me, like I used to play a lot when I was in even college, school, and I used to play a lot at that time. But now that I'm working, doing tons of things, and I'm working on things, and I'm like, I'm not able to get like 30 minutes in or to play
Oh,
30
that's so
minutes.
sad.
It's
How
like
devastating.
it is devastating. To be honest, there's a lot
I'm
of
so
things going on
sorry.
at the same time. But it's just like, but I still love games. I still get excited about, oh, this game comes out, I'm gonna play it. And when it comes out, I don't play it. But like, it's just like I'm just excited for it. It's just so exciting for me to get to see that. So even if you get to play a little bit of it, you still get to enjoy something. And you mentioned about watching playthroughs and stuff, and I do that so much. And I when the first Last of Us came out, I didn't have a PlayStation, so I watched this one guy play the whole game, watched 60
Wow.
parts of it. He made 60 parts, my God. And it was like I would wake up every day and it was like, I think it was, my college was about to start in 2 months. So there was nothing to do for me. So I was like, oh, I'm going to binge watch the whole thing. And I watched
Oh,
60 minutes,
wow.
60 parts of it, and it was the whole Last of Us. And
Ah.
I got so much, it was so fun and I was so invested in it. I was like, oh, I wish I had a PlayStation. But I used to watch like people's reactions and stuff, and I remembered the game. Like I remember every single part of it. So when I got PlayStation 4, I was like, I have, since Last of Us Part 2 was coming out, I was like, I have to play that, but I have to experience the first game again by
Mhm.
controllers and stuff. So I did that. It was very
Yeah,
fun. And
that's nice.
yeah, I just love watching everything. So even that's not dumb, to be honest with you. I feel like that's great. People, some people say like, oh, you finish the game by watching it, and that's a thing now. Like, yeah, that's a thing. Of course, I watch it
Mhm.
because I don't have
Yeah.
it, or I can't afford it or something. So it's
Yeah.
just fun to experience the
This
story that way.
that and, like, the scope of the storytelling in those games is just really magnificent,
Yeah,
and to have worked on a handful of pretty cool games over the years and get to know the folks who write them and get to know some of the developers, their hearts are really in it, and they're brilliant people.
yeah,
I work with the crew at Gearbox a lot, doing various games, and, it's such an honor. They're so talented. Those people are
yeah.
geniuses. Yeah.
That's true. But with all these games, is there any? I don't know if you have that, but if you have any video game franchise that you would like to be a part of, did you ever thought of that, or you just fine with any part?
Okay, so I have not played any of these games, but I really love The Witcher, like the
Oh,
show. So, I think that's just the world of it is fascinating, which is weird because I already told you I don't like scary things and I don't like monsters, and it's like a show about monsters, but it's also a show about killing monsters, so maybe that's why I like it. But, uh, yeah, I think it would be really fun to play in the world of, The Witcher. That'd be neat.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already in Street Fighter. I mean, what else? That was already, like, my game as a kid, so can't pick that. Already done. Uh,
Yeah, that's true.
but
But
truly, I so admire everybody, like, we've already mentioned The Last of Us, but the folks in there like Troy Baker and Laura Bailey, and, I mean, these I've known them since they lived here in Texas, and I've
yeah,
worked with them back in the day on anime and things, and they are stellar performers, and the type of like I said, the types of stories that you get to play in games, the type what am I trying to say? The types of stories you get to tell and experience through games as you, the player,
yeah,
plays. It's just you don't necessarily find that much, depth in acting performance in the anime stuff that I'm doing. Occasionally you do, but I just anything that I you can really just sink your teeth into acting wise is
yeah,
what I would like to do at regardless of the franchise. So,
yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing, and you be a part of so many things. It's wonderful, and you mentioned like Troy Baker and all those guys, which I wish I could talk to, but like he's in every game. This man, so he needs to stop. But it's like
Poor guy.
it's yeah, he just goes in and just does great performances in every game. So and he's just like such
Mhm,
a
mhm.
known, and it's someone like I love
Yeah.
to talk to, and someone like his voice, his performance, and everybody's performance. To be honest, whoever I got to talk to, I love the performance so much, and it's just like I wish I could do that. That's the feeling. I wish I could have that kind of voice because that's something that I always admire. I know a lot of people. I know some of my friends who are in the voice acting, trying to get into voice acting, and a lot of people who are interested in voice acting, do you have any advice for them, especially when they're starting out or wherever they are? Do you have any kind of advice that can help them out?
That I do have. Um, and my advice is always going to be that you should pursue acting first and voice acting next,
Hmm.
because only until you've really well, actors are always learning, so I hesitate to say mastered the art, but at least mastered all of the basics and have your general toolbox of how to do the acting.
Yeah.
Um, you really need that before you start layering in all of the technicalities of voice acting, and also taking away a lot of the tools that you have when you're acting on camera or on stage, where you have your entire body and you have costumes and you have all of those things to help bring the character to life. In a booth, you just have your voice. Um, so you really have to have knowledge of acting in
Yeah.
general, to the point where you don't even have to think about it. Like, what you need to do as an actor should be second nature. As far as, how you relate the character to your audience, you're going to be thinking definitely about what vocal things you can do, how I can make them sound this age or have this kind of texture or this accent or whatever. You'll always be thinking about that stuff, but you don't wanna have to think about the how of conveying emotions.
Yeah.
And, it's folks that know how to be real as the character that are going to book stuff. That connection that a casting director will hear just by hearing your voice, through some file on a computer, not meeting you in
Mm.
person. But if they can hear the humanity and that character is brought to life for them, then you'll start booking.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to think that that's, how it worked for me. So I always encourage people, just pursue acting. Just pursue acting and see where it takes you. That's what happened to me. I just pursued acting and it took me, to voice acting.
Yeah.
Um, you never know where you might end up on the journey. You could start acting and discover that, you know what, directing is really more my thing. Or if you're doing stage stuff or something else, it's like, you know what, I'm really interested in lighting or costuming or sound design. And then there's a whole world of possibilities that have opened up to you, but you never took the first step towards, I think that maybe acting is what I want. Um, that isn't to say that there can't be people out there who know that voice acting is what they want and that is the thing they go after, and it doesn't mean that they will be unsuccessful. Plenty of people are, but all that I can do is speak from my own personal experience
Yeah.
and my experience of working with actors. Um, and I know that I communicate best with and am uh, moved most by those who make acting what matters first and foremost, and not voice acting. So
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's the thing that I've heard a lot. Like acting, you should pursue acting, and that's the thing. That's the most important thing. If you don't know how to act, you can't voice act. So that's the thing that's gotten me. But yeah, thank you so much for that. That is incredible. And in the end, I just want to thank you so much for being here, being a part of the
sure.
of this, and to talk about Cammy and voice acting and everything. And I know you have like a correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you have an upcoming movie, Psychopaths Providence, coming up.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. That's awesome.
absolutely,
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like the trailer of it, and I was just like, that's pretty cool. I hope it comes out here. That's always the thing. Like, whenever this anime is related, I'm like, I hope it comes out here somewhere so I can get to watch it. But like, I'm excited for it. It looks very fun.
Yeah. Have you seen Psychopaths at all?
I have actually not seen
Oh, you,
Psychopaths. I
oh
have to
yeah,
see
because
that.
you're fairly
Fairly
new to
new,
anime,
exactly. Yeah.
right?
I
Okay.
have to
Well,
yet see that and then go to Providence if that. And so
yeah.
I know a lot of people. I saw the comments. I'm like, oh, people are like excited. Psychopaths is getting a new thing, and I'm like, oh, that's great. So I have to get to know Psychopaths and see how it is, what it is that people are so excited about.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like if you're unable to watch the first 2 seasons and there are some little short movies,
Hmm.
uh, that's okay. There's actually 3 seasons, but the 3rd season is over on Amazon, and in the events of the 3rd season are come after this movie. So this movie is technically a prequel to season 3. But if you're unable to watch all of that, because it is a lot, I think it would be like 50 episodes of anime plus some mini movies,
Yeah.
um, go read kind of something that tells you what the world of Psychopaths is, because I feel like if you didn't know and you just got into a theater, it would take you a while to be like, "What?"
What?
Like, it all looks really cool,
Yeah.
but there's, some backstory and just the world of the show, you'd want to know that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I hope you are able to, check out the show. I did not direct the show. I'm not even in the show. Like, it started 10 years ago, and I've never been in any aspect of it except maybe some bit parts. And then they went, "Here, do this movie." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Okay, cool. Yes." With all these amazing actors who have, known their characters for the last 10 years and then getting to bring in some new people, uh, new cast members, rather. It was great. Like, what a wonderful experience. They were all so talented. It sounds really great. Um, yeah, I hope that it comes your way too and that you're
Yeah.
able to see it somehow.
Yeah, yeah, I'll figure that out somehow, and I'll definitely watch it. It looks very cool. That's what I said. It looks very cool. So I have to obviously, I cannot just watch midway. I have to go back and I have to watch everything because I do that a lot. When I see something, I usually see something about anime and like, oh, it's a new season. I'm like, oh, there were previous seasons. Oh God, I have to check this out, and then I check this out, and then I come up to it. So, but yeah, it just looks very cool, and I'm excited for that movie to come out, and I'm excited for people to see it. And I hope they enjoy it, and it's wonderful. And in the end, I want to say thank you for taking the
Sure.
time, for coming here, for talking to me. It's been wonderful getting to know your stories and everything, and it's so inspiring at the
Yeah.
same time. Like to pursue whatever that you want to pursue. So thank you once again. It means a lot, and it's a pleasure.
It is my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. It's been so fun to chat with you.